Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the MMA Hour with Andrea KGB Lee, myself. Tonight, our guests are Amanda, the Lady Killer Bell, and Mark, the North Louisiana Pitbull Peters, and as always, Chelsea, aka Butkus Ray. So
it is when you're here.
Also, attending the beer tub tonight is Chelsea Pinkard. She'll be keeping me drunk for most of the evening, so y'all will be entertained. The first thing I want to talk about tonight, because we've had some dead air time getting used to this new video cast thing, but I want to have a better plan tonight. I think what I want to talk about first is what we saw this weekend, Friday night, on Legacy, when Mackenzie Dern fought Kenya Rosa. And there was so much hype behind Mackenzie Dern. I want to start with that, and I know I have strong opinions on it, and I know Amanda, the Lady Killer Bell, has strong opinions on that subject too. So let's start with her. Just overall, in the hype and the build-up leading up to the fight, what did you think about that? Based on the fact that she's a 5-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, going into her first MMA fight, gets live TV exposure in her first MMA fight against another girl who is a pro debut and doesn't have nearly the accomplishments that she has in the BJJ rank. What did you think about that, the hype, and then the outcome?
Well, I mean, looking at that, like, you've got to be proud, to get to that type of spot. Not a lot of people can debut, on TV. Some people debut and then they get a contract with a bigger event. I didn't know a heck of a lot about the girl, but I did see how much hype was behind her. The fight was kind of boring a little bit. I was expecting an intense finish, but I think it kind of sucks when you've got so much on you and is expected out of you, because she's like, 5-time, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's well and good, but the MMA game is where it comes from. So, I mean, I think there could have been more of a finish, but that's just me. I like finishes. I'm the type that doesn't leave it in the hands of the judges. You see the way I fight. If I'm not losing, I'm winning the fight, and I don't want to take it to the judge. I think I've only ever seen
You're
a decision.
either kicking ass or getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, I think I've
There's
only
no
ever
middle
seen
ground.
a decision, like a decision once, and I lost that one against Tamika Brents. But that's the thing is, I think that they put a lot of hype on people because of, what your background is. Exactly, yeah. She's 5-time world champion, this and that. So everyone's like, they get really hyped up about it, and I think the media uses that also as a focal point, whatnot. I mean, the girls fought hard.
But then you look at a girl like Sajar Eubanks, who's fighting Amberlyn Orr coming up, and we'll talk about that particular fight later on. And she had some of the same jiu-jitsu accolades that Mackenzie Dern had. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like to me that Sajar Eubanks' Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu translated into MMA more naturally and
Yep.
way better than a Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah,
It looked like
Sajar
Mackenzie
is a
Dern
smasher.
had white belt fury in the MMA cage. It looked like she'd been a black belt. She's a whatever degree black belt she is, but she was a white belt in MMA, sitting on top of her with the windshield wipers going. Mm-hmm. She's gonna have to figure out how to make her jiu-jitsu work in MMA, because you're not wearing a gi anymore.
Exactly. Once you take that gi off, things kind of it's really not quite the same. My coach fought Diego Saraiva, who is a known world champion himself. He fought him at the Tachi Palace about a year or two back, and it went to decision. My coach was looking more for more just to kind of drag it out and look for more time in the cage. He almost got his ass caught in an armbar, unfortunately, but he still fought and was just whipping on this dude. So I mean, he couldn't finish my coach by far, my coach Enoch Wilson. So I mean, that goes, like you said, you have to find that transition from being a champion on the mats to what happens when someone starts punching you in the face. Right. It's definitely different. And also how you're going, you can get those dominant positions. She had Mount virtually the whole time.
The whole
now,
fight.
how do you finish it, Because
she kept going for those submissions, and then she couldn't figure out how to finish it. I know she would have finished that if they'd have had a gi on. but like all of a sudden they're in no-gi and she can't figure out how to finish those submissions that she should have finished, you know.
Maybe that's, you know, jiu-jitsu players' ego. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu players out there who live in the gi and they don't embrace the idea of ever taking it off. You know, that's that
much.
You know, but then there's a lot of, like, say, wrestlers who don't embrace the idea of putting the gi on and what it can add to your game.
And the problem with wrestlers, they don't embrace the idea of being on their back and learning that you can win a fight off your back.
Yeah, and getting smothered and having to admit defeat.
Yeah.
You know, rather than a ref tap, you know, put him out for a 3 count.
A wrestler has to swallow his pride and learn to fight off his back, just like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu person has to swallow his pride and learn how to apply that same jiu-jitsu knowledge in no-gi.
Yeah, sport jiu-jitsu is far away from the self-defense type, you know.
I mean, unless it's the winter time, and in Louisiana we don't have much winter, and you're walking around in pajamas and coats and shit, you know, I ain't got a lot of collars to grab. You know, we get into a fight, it's t-shirts, flip-flops, and shorts, and that's all we got. You know?
Right. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. It's a matter of transition. I'm a ground and pound person, so seeing this, you know, monkey ground and pound that she was kind of doing, I'm like, that's not going to finish that fight because you stay curled up here.
Right.
It's not going to help. I'm the type that I go straight down the pipe and I'll break through your arms. You get here, it doesn't matter. I'll throw a hammer fist and break through someone's forearms and just open their face up. But she was just kind of doing this, and it wasn't enough to create an effect to stop that fight.
I call that windshield wipers.
Yeah.
When they start doing this, it looks like windshield wipers. They're not. They don't really have a.
It's like someone being close and just
they
kind of.
just want to land enough shots or move enough for the referee to stop the fight, but they're not trying to do enough damage to curl toes up. And that's what I want to see out of a fight. I want to see a fighter taking the time to move a hand out of the way, not just going tick, 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 but move something out of the way so I can bust your ass and end this fight.
You really only need one hand to punch him. You know?
That's right. I need one hand to trap and one hand to punch. You know.
Yeah, especially when you're on your back. And I like I said, I'm the type that I like to see finishes. By far, I like to see finishes. I don't like to see things put in the hands of the judges because I want to see fighters go in there and, you know, take it completely. And those girls did great. I mean, in the end, it was a good fight in a sense. It's just when you look at those things, and I even look at myself in my own fights and say, damn, I could have finished it right there. Or, you know, you're in that fight, you get sucked into the moment where you're just exhausted and you just want to stay dominant. But, you know, it's like that. There was that moment where she could have finished it. So I was really hoping for that, but I'm not taking anything away from it.
And there was some personal connotation for myself because Kenya was a former opponent of Andy in a very, very close Muay Thai fight that I thought Andy won, but you know, she got cut out of a decision in that fight. I thought Andy beat Kenya in a Muay Thai fight, but then Kenya gets the call up, so I'm thinking in my mind, okay, so this is Andy versus Mackenzie Dern. But the thing that I learned the most is watching Mackenzie fight is if you want to beat her, you got to stop her takedowns, and her takedowns are not very impressive. She doesn't have good wrestling. She doesn't have good judo. She's basically hoping to aggress you to the ground with a leg ride or a double under, a sag trip or a back trip or some shit like that. Huh?
I say she got a single leg once.
Okay, okay, great. So she's a fucking Division I wrestler with that one single leg she got off a girl that can't defend takedowns. Because my point is Kenya can't defend takedowns. And Mackenzie struggled taking her down a couple times. Kenya cannot defend takedowns. And she struggled to take Kenya. Now, what's she going to do when she faces somebody who can wrestle like Sheridan Jacobson or somebody like that, or Jamie Moyle, who could stuff takedowns? It ain't going to happen.
That comes with the territory of the sport. You know, if she was good enough to make her debut, we all have room for improvement. You know, so maybe we'll see something better out of her when the next fight comes around. Well, you know, just hope for that, because that, you know, if she is transitioning mostly from jiu-jitsu and she's where she's at with her pro career, they probably gave her somebody that was at, you know, her level to go ahead and take that fight. They were both debuters, so I know I wasn't the best with my wrestling at my debut.
The strange thing is they thought they were giving her somebody who was way beneath her. And she was going to smash in about 20 seconds and get that super sub, and everybody's going to say, oh, Mackenzie Dern, 30-second submission, da-da-da-da. But what she ended up with was a scrappy, squirmy ass girl who went 3 rounds with her and didn't tap.
Yeah, she didn't want to give her any space. I think she was very aware of her ground ability.
In Mackenzie Dern's MMA debut, she goes the distance with a girl in her debut who's 18 years old. That's an 18-year-old girl, man. That's a kid, you know.
Yeah.
I see an 18-year-old kid, I feel bad about slapping him because, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to change his sexual orientation. You know what I'm saying? It could go down like that.
It's so I'm like, it doesn't happen quite like that.
It could.
I was game before I started taking punches to the head.
See, I had this, I'm making sure she's on her toes. I'm making sure she's on her toes. She caught that, but, you know, sometimes I get this guy, he be thinking he's you know, all that, and I pimp slap him one time, he's talking like this, the next day my feet, you know.
Oh, you're horrible.
Right into the cube, huh?
Right into the LGBT, I slapped right into the cue.
And it is, yeah, it is that way too.
Right on. Okay. So this weekend,
Enough of the jokes.
we saw Mackenzie Dern, and yes, she won, and I hope Mackenzie Dern continues to improve and excel. I know Kenya Rose is going to continue to improve because she's 18 years old and just went the distance.
She's got nothing but time.
You know, she got nothing but time, and she's going to grow. She's going to come up here, and she's going to train. She's going to go different places, and she's going to evolve, and she's going to be a special MMA fighter. Mackenzie, I'm not saying her time is limited. I'm just saying that she's done one thing for so long. I want to see if she's able to step outside the box and encompass other things in her training, you know?
Yeah, I think she will. I think she'll come back stronger after this because a good fighter will look at a fight, whether they win or lose, or like, you know, and still look for where they need to improve. If you lost your fight, obviously, you know, you're going to research that one. But even if you win, look where you thought, you know, you got yourself in trouble or where you could have done better or where you were in your head thinking, you know, why can't I finish this? What the hell am I doing wrong? You know, because we all go through that. So, you know, I think it's important to even assess a video of yourself even when you win and still find those flaws of where you know, because me, if I didn't finish a fight, I definitely would be looking at where the hell I maybe would slipped up on that. You know, again, I'm about finishes and securing that win.
That's right.
So
nobody wants to see anybody hump a leg for 3 rounds and get a decision. You know, that's boring as hell.
Those people.
You know, I hate
can't
that
stand
shit.
that. Yeah, get up and fight. Stop riding my leg, quit punching in the head, and okay, too much pressure.
So what was your thought, Andrew KGB Lee, on Legacy this weekend? Namely the Mackenzie Dern Kenya Rosa fight, and then the main event between Robert Drysdale and I can't remember that cat he fought, but that was one of those fights where Drysdale turned it around at the end and his jiu-jitsu took over. But he took an ass whooping in the first round. Anyway, go ahead and tell us what you thought.
I just tell you about the Mackenzie Dern one.
Why don't you want to talk about the Drysdale fight? You didn't care about that one? Was it interesting to you?
No,
Was she in the room watching that?
I don't think she was.
I don't think it was. I think I was in the bath.
I think
Well, you were in the bath.
I was taking a bubble bath.
Robert Drysdale, if you click onto this, she was taking a bath while you were fighting. I wasn't. I was watching your fight intently, son. And I knew you were going to win and pull it out, but you know, she didn't have faith.
all day. I smelled bad. I needed a shower.
Yeah, I agree with that. She did smell bad. She did need a shower.
I had to go take a shower. I had to go. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad you did that. Save us all.
She was hanging out with me. Not in the tub, but doing the live feed on Facebook.
She smelled bad?
I walked right into that one with both hands out in front of me. Goodness.
Well, I mean, I thought that, you know, the Mackenzie Dern fight, it was, I mean, it's slightly a disappointment just because everything
In
else
what
that
way?
I just said. Well, because I was expecting her to finish.
You were? Your tweet said that Kenya Rose was the real deal, so you was expecting Mackenzie Dern to finish?
Yeah, I was expecting her to get a finish at some point. I knew that Kenya Rosa could fight, but I really thought that if it went to the ground, that she was going to get a submission.
Really? I didn't think that. See, I got more faith in Kenya than you do. Kenya, if you want to come train, holler at me, not her, because I believe in you.
You're out there against Kenya.
It's 1-800 kick that bitch's ass.
Nothing against Kenya. I just, I just figured that the girls, she's black belt. I just assumed that she would get a submission. Why do you gotta do this to me?
What am I doing?
You know what you're doing.
Okay. So Holly and Valentina Shevchenko, I think I said that right, fought this weekend, and wow. I mean, it was kind of what I thought it would be, because they're both counter punchers, or not, they're not counter punchers.
Shevchenko is a counter
They're counter
puncher.
strikers, but both of them throw a lot of feints and they wait for the other person to commit. So my prediction leading into this fight was, this is going to be the most boring women's fight in the history of women's fights, because they're both going to just feint and look and feint and look and wait on the other person. But what ended up happening was they had a feint battle, but Valentina won it, because Holly would throw 2 strikes and Valentina would throw 5, and that was the difference in the fight, in my opinion. What do y'all think? I want to hear from you two specifically.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, you talking to me? I thought you pointed at Butkus over there. No, I knew Shevchenko was a counter puncher. I expected Holly to have a little more pressure, so I think when she tried that, that's where Shevchenko was able to really use her counter punching and take away that reach, because it seemed they had the same reach, didn't they, or was it?
No, there was about a 3-inch reach difference.
I'm thinking of the Fleece
in
Herrig
Holly's
fight. They
favor.
had the same reach. You're right. Yeah, Holly did have favor of reach, and I think Shevchenko did a good job taking advantage of the fact that she get inside, pick it apart, and she had some great counter right hands. She was countering with that right a lot. That's what really was giving her good. And Holly, I know, was super disappointed and everything. And she even said at the end of it, we knew she was a counter puncher. We were expecting this, and I don't know. I think Holly jumped in straight too much. Trust me, I know. I do that all the fucking time. I jump straight.
All the way.
Like, don't be like me. Don't be like me. Don't jump straight into shit. I'm having a problem with that
Right on.
myself.
So I actually lost my bet this weekend, because I had that Holly was going to win by decision over Valentina, and it was the other way around. Congratulations, Valentina, because I think she's awesome, and I'd be proud to have her at this camp at any point that she could come train with these girls. She's a gangster. But I want to talk now.
She likes KGB's name.
Oh, she does, because she's from the old Soviet Union, man.
Yeah,
Everybody from the old Soviet Union loves KGB. Rusky.
That would be cool. I think she'd be a good addition to have down here.
I think we can get her up here to train with us real soon. We have connections with Mick Maynard and other guys to get her here to train.
Yeah.
And I think she'd be good for all y'all, because none of y'all see counter punching the way that broad can counter. She counter punches like Tommy Hearns did. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know
like Tommy Hearns would make you commit, and then he would bust your ass from 2 feet away further than you could hit him with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He understood distance, he understood length, and he would make you commit, and then he would bust your ass with feints. Valentina did that shit the other night.
Yeah, I had a friend back home who, she doesn't box anymore that I know of, but she did really good. And same thing. She's like, you'll come at me with a couple of punches, and I'll answer back with like 5, 6, boom, 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 boom. She was a counter puncher herself, and she used to say the same thing. You answer back with that, she'd answer back with 5 or 6, this and that, boom, 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 just pick it apart. I think Shevchenko did a great job on that half. Just throwing more than just a couple of strikes. Like, she just kept coming, and she did great. But I remember, I think this will kind of blend off into the subject we're about to get into, how, how everyone was talking. The UFC did good describing Holly Holm as a kickboxer instead of an actual boxer, and where that lied in.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. It's so easy to get labeled in MMA or in life. Get put in a box. This is a boxer. This is a jiu-jitsu person. This is a kickboxer, and you get put in this box, and nobody can conceive that you can do anything outside of that box. And that's kind of where Holly's stuck in. They say, oh, she's a 3-time world champion boxer. But they forget that most of her wins are from head kick knockouts, putting bitches to sleep on the mat, you know. She's a kickboxer. She's not just a boxer. You know, let's stop describing her and labeling her, putting her into a box, you know. You know, it is what it is. It's the UFC. It started out boxing versus judo versus wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. It started out that way. So they're always going to want to make it a this style versus that style situation. When MMA, as we know it, because we're in the game, as we know it today, is not necessarily. We all know, we all have a preference. Everybody has a preference, but everybody's pretty good at everything. You know, we can all grapple, we can all throw, we can all punch, we can all kick, but everybody has a preference of what they like to do and a style.
Yeah.
It's no longer the karate guy versus the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. It's not like that anymore. So
that's
when
like
they
old
say,
school martial arts mentality.
And so when I watched Bellator the other night, and they said this is a pure striker versus grappler matchup, talking about Emily Ducote and that girl she fought, and I think they were calling Emily the grappler and the other girl the striker. Well, fucking Emily whooped her ass with that overhand right, and when she finally clipped her, then she fucking went to her ground game and choked her out in the end, but she beat her ass standing up. So how are you going to call her a grappler and her a striker when she whooped her ass on her feet? You know, this is an MMA fighter. She can do it all.
Yeah,
you know?
I think they do that as a direction to be like, you know, oh, this is their background. I mean, you see them come out with something different that is outside of their background. It's even more phenomenal, you know, to see that development within their game. It's like, oh, they're known as this. Well, this is how they won. And that shows a good fighter. Because like you said, everybody's like, you know, striker, karate guy versus judo guy or whatever. And it's an old martial arts mentality, you know, whose martial arts better than whose school's better than whose. I'm going to put my art up against yours. Yeah. Nowadays, you have to have different stuff. You can't just do one thing. You have to know how to fight off your back and how to use your angles and how to defend. And, you know, there's just such a different dynamic of fighting these days. You have to be well-rounded. You have to understand it all.
I agree.
I have heard them announce fighters, though, as mixed martial artists, you know, so that does happen.
What fights you been watching?
UFC fights.
UFC fights?
They do it a lot in Invicta, too.
A mixed martial artist. That's what they do.
I just think she's a hot broad. They should have said, a hot broad fighting out of...
Hey, but you know what? And that's true because you can tell them whenever you want. Because I, for one, do the same thing. And it's an inside joke amongst everybody at my gym. When we go to fights, especially at like the FCFF back in Oregon, and when I go to my fights in Invicta, they introduce me as a wrecking shop fighter.
Wrecking shop. That's your
wrecking,
style?
yeah, they're just like, what's your style like? Wrecking shop.
Shop. Third-degree black belt in wrecking shop.
Right? Like, I do it all, so I just wreck shop.
5 or more jobs than you can imagine.
No, wreck shop, not wrecking ball. The wrecking ball.
All right, so we're going to shift gears for a minute, right? So one of the main reasons that I wanted to have this guy, the Scalpum Indian Apache, Sweet Dill Pickle, Mark Peters on this show is because without Mark Peters, there would not have been a Donnie Aaron as you know it, or as she knows it. There wouldn't have been an Andrea Lee. There wouldn't have been a Kendrick. All of the people who have ever trained and been successful under me, those guys would not have existed if it hadn't been for that guy. Because when I was growing up, I was raised very soft. And I was raised in a very religious household. And I didn't hear a cuss word until I was probably in the 3rd grade. And then I meet this dude. Because I go I go to a bad school and shit ain't looking right, and so my dad takes me to a boxing gym. I got into a couple fights in the school that I was at, and my dad takes me to a boxing gym when I was very, very young, and I meet this dude. And my life, I could have been maybe a politician or an attorney or I could have been a lot of things probably, but I just decided when I met Mark Peters, I just want to beat people up. Because that's what he did. He just whooped people's ass. I wanted to be that guy. So anyway, Mark Peters, the North Louisiana Pit Bull. I only think that he got ranked as low as he did because he said North Louisiana. If he just said the Louisiana Pit Bull, he'd have probably been ranked number 2 or number 3. But when he said North Louisiana, it made you a Yankee, and it made everybody in South Louisiana hate your ass. You know what I mean? So that's what he was, man. And I remember he was the number 8 ranked cruiserweight, light heavyweight boxer in the world at a time when that meant something. You know, back then, when Mark was ranked number 8 in the world, that meant something. Today, you got guys who are ranked number 12 in the FUCK boxing division of the world. Who gives a shit about that? You know?
They seem to have a title bet for like every 2 pound
says
fluctuation.
FUC, fuck you, as my belt says. but he was the number 8 ranked guy when the shit still mattered, you know. And I just want to talk to him for a minute because before I talk about all the asses I've seen him whoop, I want to talk to him a minute about what he's seen since he competed in boxing and the way and the state of the game of boxing is in now. Talk about, because when was your last pro fight?
2006.
2006? God dang,
I was
boy.
graduating high school then.
Shit.
I had
Later
an
than I
accident
thought.
in 2002, which almost lost my life.
I remember.
I just came back from
I was crying over you like a hoe.
Ran myself around a tree. Almost
Yeah,
died.
that shit.
Came
I
back
remember.
4 years later. Had to
I was
come back
praying
alive.
and shit, and I made a lot of promises to Jesus. I got to feel fulfilled. And I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
But made a comeback fight after 4 years of being out and knocked the guy out in 2 rounds and decided to end my career right then because my leg wasn't feeling the way it used to feel.
Because you had that steel rod.
Yeah, I had a titanium rod in there. It ailed me all the time. But you know, it's been gone. At 50 years old, I can still.
But you're not just a boxer. It's because even
No.
listen to me. One of the reasons I love you like a brother, like I do, is because you're humble, and you'll never brag on yourself. So I always find myself bragging on you more than you brag on yourself. But let's just talk facts. You know, my question was about Mark Peters and his the North Louisiana Pit Bull, which explains the number 8 ranking instead of the number 2 ranking.
Jerks.
He was the number 2 ranked, in my opinion, light heavyweight of all time. And but seriously, no. Tell us about some of the guys that you had the opportunity to go train and spar and be involved in camp with and stuff like that.
Went over to Roy Jones's camp and worked out with him, and everything was great. And went over to Darren Van Horn, the $1 Million Baby. Went over there and worked out and sparred with Darren Van Horn.
A lot of people ain't gonna remember Darren. I remember Darren Brown
From Morgan City,
because me
Louisiana.
and you was old enough to remember him.
Yeah.
But the layman fan that's watching the show, they're gonna hear you say Roy Jones. They're gonna go, oh, I know that name.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience with Roy Jones and how that camp went.
He was a great guy, super nice, at the camp. And then he just, learned a lot of stuff from him, And it was stuff I could bring back home and teach other people, just, he was a freak of nature, he could hit any angle and make you think about looking left or looking right because he was on the other side.
Uh-huh.
He was quick, he was fast.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I don't delve a lot into my past, but Mark is one of the guys that were it not for him, I wouldn't have chosen the life that I chose. There wouldn't be an Andrea, there wouldn't be a Kendrick, there wouldn't be a lot of the champions that I've trained. None of those guys would exist, because without him to look up to and say, I want to be like that guy, I want to be tough like that guy, it would have ended then. But you think about, if I touch one life, how many lives can that touch? So Mark touched my life, and I've touched at least a half dozen lives, and I know he's touched more than just mine. So that's the way the martial arts world works. It's trickle down effect. You know what I mean? Whether it's boxing or wrestling, that's all martial arts. That's all martial arts. So you and your role model towards me was impactful in my future, and I think that's awesome, and that's one of the reasons I want to have you come out tonight. But you know, as one of the most successful boxers from this state, and from this region, you know, the South Central region, you're one of the most successful professional boxers that's ever come from this region. What do you think the state of boxing is today as compared to what it was when you fought, when you were in your prime? And I'm saying you were in your prime probably in the mid '90s, late '90s.
Well, back then, boxing was like the MMA world today, and you don't see boxing like you used to. And I mean, more of your boxers are trying to go to the MMA world because there's more publicity, more sponsorship. I mean, it's a big difference.
It is.
A big difference.
It is.
You don't get to see boxing every day on TV like you used to.
Thank you, Miss Chelsea. You don't, and only recently they've started to bring boxing back into prime time on different channels, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I hadn't seen boxing in prime time in 15 years, and suddenly it's on prime time again,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody's watching it,
No.
and I'm like, man, this isn't gonna last long, bro, because people aren't watching that shit. There's no name recognition in boxing like there used to be. You know, shit, you talk about the middleweight division, you had Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearn, Sugar Ray Leonard,
The great.
marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Yes.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
Today, you're lucky to list 5 boxers, period, in any weight class that compete currently.
And the sad thing about it is how many United States champions do you have now? There's none. And if there is, I mean, there's very few.
Exactly.
I don't even think we do even hold a heavyweight title holder in the
No,
United States anymore.
We don't. There's no heavyweight, light heavyweight American title holder. I mean, we got some Mexican American title holders that, you know, lighter weight classes, but you know it's because all of the Mexicans that are athletic are already in the United States because they can run, jump, and swim. They've already proved that.
Yeah.
So y'all ain't gonna laugh at that shit or what? Come on, man.
That's
my
nice.
That's my racist joke of the evening. Sponsored by Michael Martinez, Mike Moore.
What other?
I got J5. It's sponsored. Shit.
John.
He's probably like Puerto
Yeah,
Rican.
straight. Yeah. He ain't Puerto Rican. He's like Honduran or something.
When I look
Really
at
good
bo-
English.
and when I look at boxing, I see so many politics in it. I've known guys who have gone in for boxing matches. Like even one of like somebody who's a boxing coach to me. His name's Derek Dirtnap Bartloway from back up in the Northwest. Yeah, Dirtnap, but spelled with a U. He's an awesome guy, 2-time All-American wrestler, but he's got hands for days, and he's getting calls for like fights that are a week out. And facing guys who are big up-and-comers, you know, they want to put a good name on this guy. And he goes in, and he may not, like, he goes to decision. They can't finish him, he can't finish them. But he does such an amazing job. But they weasel the win over to the other guy for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't really have much of an amateur background, really, like, ever in boxing. MMA has been his thing, wrestling's been his thing. So I don't know if, you know, judges in boxing, it seems like they look for something quite a bit differently than MMA looks for when it comes to dominance and being in with your shots.
Politics has always played a big role.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
boxing
Has
judges hate MMA. That's a fact
That's
of
exactly
life.
it. They didn't even, like, his first boxing match as a pro, they didn't even show him walking out. They showed the other guy who was introduced second. They didn't
Yeah.
even show him walking out. And they kind of were like, okay, who's this guy? The way they were talking about him was so slouched. And he came in and he did great, you know. He didn't, and they gave the win to the other guy. I'm like, where the hell did he not win that fight? So like I said, I don't know if they look for something else or if it is just politics, but it seems that way because he'll get calls last minute against like Roy Jones Jr.'s, you know, favorite prodigy coming up and coming right now. You know, it's just it's sad to see that. I don't know. I think you see that too within the UFC itself. There's a lot of
Yeah.
poster children that they build up on their own to try to get them that huge name. And I can't stand to see that. So that's why I stress to people, it's very important, especially when you're going up against somebody who has a huge name, to just go out there and throttle them, finish that fight, and take that away. Because this whole poster children bullshit is getting annoying because there's such a huge imbalance between pay. You got fighters fighting for $7,000 and you got fucking steroid using Brock Lesnar making 2 point how much million? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Just because he's got a huge name and everybody suddenly loves him, it's like, you know, make sure you do good in your career and you're smashing these people, because it's really just, it's a huge politic game. It really is, you know. And for those who can't fit that poster children image, at least you can win your fights and smash the hell out of people and argue a better contract to get what you deserve. Mm-hmm. But yeah, boxing I've seen a lot of politics within that. But you said it's always been that way. Like,
Yeah.
But you know, the evolution of MMA has changed the landscape of coaching in boxing and Muay Thai and some of the other traditional disciplines, wrestling even, because you can't make a living if you're a boxer. You can't make a living as a boxing coach teaching just boxers. If I'm a Muay Thai guy, I'm a Muay Thai world champion. I can't make a living. I can't, not here, make a living training just Muay Thai fighters. So I have to take my brand of Muay Thai and my brand of striking to MMA in order to make a living. Mm-hmm. And so I have a jiu-jitsu coach who does the same thing, and I have a wrestling coach who does the same thing, and I have a boxing coach who does the same thing. And so together we bring our brand of shit to an MMA camp, you know, and I try to be the mad scientist who can put it together, but because I'm the only one of the group who has competed in all the combat disciplines. So I think that you know, you have to accept all the disciplines. You have to train in all the disciplines, and or you get left out, like Mackenzie Dern did the other night. You know, she was obviously a BJJ girl, and you know the result was self-evident. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when you're gonna switch arts like that, you definitely need to take the time to embrace it and be sure that you have your tools. And it comes with the territory. Sometimes you have to take fights to get better, especially in MMA. You never really know how well you're progressing until you take those fights. Mm-hmm. You know, I used to not want to go pro right off the bat. After, you know, I had a title, I was sitting out for like a year. Nobody wanted to fight me. I couldn't find anybody at my level that commissions would allow to fight me as an amateur. And I said, you know, I'm not ready to go pro yet because I feel like I need to get better before I can jump into that. And I had a friend's brother, you know, say to me, he's like, well, maybe you need to go pro so that you can start getting better. Maybe that's the leap you have to take. I'm like, you know what, you're right. Because I think in my head, I was getting a little too caught up on the idea of having an undefeated record. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of fall short too. They're so worried about getting beat. My record's 4-3 right now. Getting beat happens, 3-4 right now. So I've lost more than I've won. And it's just a number, you know. It's about how you went into that fight, how you fought those people, and where you come in, you know.
It's just a number.
Exactly.
We saw you were with me. You saw that last week with Nick Jackson, who was 3-3. He was 3-3. He fought a guy who was 21-9, and he comes away with a win. Mm-hmm. You know, that inspires us to say, hey, records don't fucking matter.
We need to bring him in next week too.
Yeah,
he'll be a good addition to talk about that, because I was proud of him for that one. He did great. But you're right, records don't hold shit, you know. But in MMA, it is essential, like we were saying. You got to have everything in your bags. You have to, because if you're just one thing, until people, you know, it's like you can keep beating them with that until somebody comes in and takes you out. You have to progress inside of everything rapidly, and some do it and some don't, and some get caught. It's just that's just how the game can be.
That's what's cool about it, though. Like, you know, Ronda was known for like her judo, and everyone was like, "Oh, she can't be beaten," and all this stuff. Holly came and exposed her, then Misha came and exposed Holly, and now they all have work to go do, you know, on the other side of their game. So I think that's kind of what's so cool about it.
That all happened, and it happened, and it happened, and it happened. So now the 135-pound weight class is in chaos. Who's going to stabilize it?
The queen.
You need somebody to step up and stabilize that weight class. Say, I'm the champion. Because right now, every fight, there's a new champion. New champion.
Changes hands.
It does. You got to have somebody to hold on to and stabilize that weight. Amanda Nunes / Leoa is the current champion, and if she holds it for 2 or 3 fights, I'll buy in. I'll buy in. But the way I see what the UFC's been doing is matching the champion to get the champion beat until they can get who they want back in there. You know what I mean? So it's just going to be a constant matchmaking to beat the champion.
It becomes less about the sport and more about the consumption.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only one who could hold it down for a while. So.
All right, so check it out. So we're getting not close to the end of the show necessarily, but we're getting to the point where we want to answer some questions that the fans have sent us. So I'm gonna let Amanda start. I'm about to bust off some Edie Kamosi if I don't shut this shit off.
Were we actually gonna? Actually, can we discuss real quick the card coming up this weekend?
Oh, okay. You want to do that?
Okay.
That's even better.
Yeah. So
let me have your phone. That's
so
my
July
thing.
29th is Invicta coming up.
Okay, right on.
We got the next Invicta coming up.
We got an Invicta card July 29th.
You just passed by the card, bro. Scroll back up.
No, man, I'm doing it. So it looks like the first fight of the night.
July 29th, Kansas City.
Sijara Eubanks versus Amberlynn Orr. Okay, Sijara Eubanks is 1-1. Her one win is versus Gina Begley, and her one loss is against Caitlin Chikagian, who just beat Leslie Smith the other night. So she's facing Amberlynn Orr in Amber's first professional fight. Let's go predictions and then why.
I'm going for Sijara. I met her face to face, and I'm just being biased. I like her. I think she's cool. She's a smasher. She fought Invicta 12 when I did, and I got beat by Faith Van Duen. She surprised the hell out of me. I didn't know much about her. I saw that fight, and I was like, wow, this girl is tough. You know, I'm pulling for her to win this fight. You know, I don't take anything away from her opponent whatsoever, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this Sijara fight. I'm pulling for her.
Andrew, I know you've trained with Amberlynn, and you fought Caitlin. Who beat Sijara, so you kind of have a plane on who, you know.
Well, Amberlynn, her stand-up's really good, and then she's also really good on the ground. So I think it'd be a very competitive match.
Talking about MMA IQ, like we were talking about with Mackenzie Dern and Kenya Rosa, the MMA IQ. You understand? So. Sijara had exactly 2 fights in MMA. How many has Amberlynn had? A lot. So even though it looks like Amberlynn 0-0, Sijara Eubanks 1-1, Amberlynn has way more MMA experience because she's had 9 or 10 or 12 amateur MMA fights, and Sijara didn't have that. So. Amberlynn's jiu-jitsu is really good, but it's MMA jiu-jitsu. So I'm curious as to how that fight's going to go. So
I got Amber.
Good luck,
Sijara.
Good luck, Sijara. I'm pulling for you.
You got Sijara. Who you got?
I'm not that familiar with either girl, but I do know that y'all have trained with Amberlynn, so I'm gonna go for her.
Yeah, I'm saying Amberlynn too.
She's a sweetheart. Hey, Amber's a sweetheart.
Hold me back. Can't
Okay.
touch that. You're lucky. Just hold it back.
At bantamweight, you got Aspen Ladd 3-0 versus Jessica Hoy 1-0. Who you got there? I know nothing about Jessica Hoy, but I know that Aspen Ladd's bad broad. I expect Aspen Ladd's going to smoke her pretty quick.
She's a bully. She'll probably win.
Yeah, Aspen Ladd's going to smoke her fast.
Yeah, I like Aspen Ladd.
Mizuki is going to smoke Alvarez. I don't even have to ask y'all about that one.
I love Mizuki. I do. I was sitting cage side when she fought Lacey Shuckman, and that made
Tessa
me sad.
Simpson versus Simone whatever. But I'm telling you, I know Tessa, and Tessa's going to win that fight. Period. Megan Anderson, Peggy Morgan. This is the first one worth talking about. Who we got on Megan Anderson? Who we got?
Well,
I've I know you have some experience with Megan Anderson.
Yeah.
So with that experience, what do you think? Peggy Morgan, Megan Anderson, what do you think?
Megan Anderson is definitely growing by leaps and bounds. I'll give her that. You know, I mean, I've said before, I did underestimate her a whole lot going into that fight, and that was a huge mistake. Her camp's got it where it's at for her. Peggy and I have known each other for a little bit. She's kind of a friend of mine. So I guess, that's kind of on that plan. I'm hoping to see her, have success in this fight. I don't usually make a lot of predictions on my own weight class. I just see exactly who wins and where this goes. But I really can't tell you for sure. Again, because like I said, on my weight class and my own self, I just kind of sit back and see what happens. Yeah. Peggy might try to come in with a little more ground game than using her hands. But they're both matched up pretty well in the sense of how they're tall and lanky, and that's where I got sucked in hard with Megan Anderson, was those long ass fucking arms. That reach is ridiculous. So we'll see. I'm just hoping that's going to be a good fight. I feel like a lot of people look at the 145s and they say that we're some people who don't watch us that often think we're a boring weight class. So I just hope that they put on a really good show-stopping event, moment for everybody to see. So we got Megan Anderson.
Megan and Peggy.
You got who?
I'll take Peggy.
You got who?
Me?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Why do you think about who you got?
I mean, I've trained with Megan. Her reach is ridiculous.
I'm gonna be a little more mutual on this because I know Megan's strengths, I know
Yeah.
Peggy's strengths. I'm just gonna kind of sit on the fence on this
I
one.
could see it going either way, but I'm it's hard because I've trained with her. I don't want to bet against her.
I like them both.
I'm joking.
I think
think
Megan.
it's gonna probably go Megan's way, but I'd like
Yeah.
to see Peggy
She's
win.
done a lot better.
I think Megan is more committed to her career right now.
But I don't know.
Necessarily.
I like
Yeah.
All right,
Megan's got a lot of
Cindy.
one-on-one
All right, this is
attention.
your weight class. Cindy Dandois, Jesmine Duke.
They're fighting 135. Aren't they?
Huh?
Yeah, that's
Cindy
35.
Dandois likes to jump weight classes. She says she'll fight featherweight, but she tries to get featherweights to meet her at
Right.
140.
Okay.
Oh,
So I
brother.
don't know.
Cindy Dandois, Jesmine Duke. Who you think?
I'm gonna pull for Jessamine on this one.
I ain't about pulling for. Who you think's gonna win?
Jessamine.
Jasmine. Andrea.
Can you be quiet on these?
Yes, I got Just Duke.
You got Jesmine Duke. I'm gonna keep that shit to myself.
I want
too.
to see Duke win because I feel
I
like
do too.
when she first started in Invicta, she was doing great. She was a fan favorite. She was excelling really quickly. I don't know what happened to her. It's after she went to the Tough House and to the UFC, like
Yeah,
she's
they
back
really-
to back. She's been losing, and she even said, "I feel like my back is against the wall more than ever now." And I almost cried watching her lose her last fight against
that was
Ariana
rough.
Abdallah. But I admire her because she even said, she's like, "I'm not trying to get an easy fight. I want to fight good people and put myself to the toughest test." And she
Fucking
fought
right.
a hard individual. She really did. So
She's a cool
I
chick.
want to see her bounce back because she is in fact a great fighter.
Irene Aldana versus Talia Santos.
I don't.
Wait, you
Huh?
skipped one.
No, I didn't.
You skipped number 7.
Oh, excuse me. Flyweight.
Flyweight,
Fire,
no big
man.
deal. Flyweight.
Claudia Ray versus somebody. Both of them undefeated. It doesn't matter because neither one of them could whoop KGB. So fuck it.
That's
We
right.
ain't talking about that shit because we don't give
I'm
a
with
shit.
I wanna
KGB.
know-
Bring that
Pronounce the
flyweight
name.
shit. Bring that flyweight shit over here. In December, we got that.
Agnieszka.
We ain't even talking about that. Fuck that. Why we gonna get what?
Agnieszka.
Hey, zip it. Zip it.
You don't even, you didn't know.
Strawweight. Alexa Grasso. Jody Escabel.
This
It's
is
gonna
the
be a
main
good
Jody
event.
Escabel.
fight.
Alexa Grasso.
This is gonna be
What's
a
up?
throw down. I love these girls.
I'm gonna tell you something. I respect, admire, and really enjoy watching Alexa Grasso. I think she is a gangster. But Jody Escabel is my friend,
Is she?
and I am fucking pulling for her. And I hope Jody Escabel puts a whooping on that ass, cause she's my buddy and she's cool. She's a fireman, a paramedic. She's everything you want for somebody to win fights. I love Jody Escabel. I hope she wins. Alexa Grasso, if you win, I don't think you're a bad person. I'm pulling for Jody Escabel.
This is
that's all.
for my friend Candy Aurelio back home. Viva Mexico, honey. We're going with Alexa Grasso all the way on
Go with your Mexican self.
this one. Viva Mexico, brother.
I've got a Jody on that, especially after she got screwed on the whole tough thing. in
Yeah,
my
no
opinion.
shit, right on. Yeah, Jody Escabel. Yeah, she got fucked because the decision.
robbed.
The decision. She got fucked on her decision in the Tough House.
Yeah.
Jody Escabel beat that ass and
Yeah.
she got fucked. So I don't even know what the girl's name was that beat Jody, but I know Jody's
Well,
name.
no good.
So that girl that beat Jody can kiss my asshole.
Oh my God.
The brown bastard, the whole brown thing. When I spread my
That's
cheeks
your
apart.
husband.
That one.
Yeah.
Your husband has so much class.
Yeah.
I have fucking
Cool.
class. I'm a classy
Well,
guy.
then there's that. So,
Damn.
all right.
So let's answer some fucking questions, man.
All right, so-
because there's some questions I want to fucking answer.
There's
I've been
there's some
seeing
good
this
ones
shit.
here. So,
all right,
John-
look,
Oh, boy.
this is the question and answer portion of the Outlaw MMA.
Q&A.
We need to have like a theme song for this moment.
Yeah,
We need to
rock
have
on.
a hashtag.
Okay, so
Yeah, hashtag.
so John Harris is asking both me and Andrea, are fighters okay with 2-year suspensions for PEDs, or should it be longer or shorter? I personally think, well, I don't know. I've never been busted for PEDs of any kind, so I wouldn't fucking know. I don't know. 2-year suspension sounds pretty damn good. As a fighter, I'd say, you know, like I was saying before, I don't understand how Diaz can get suspended for 5 years for marijuana, which leaves your system in a month, as compared to somebody who's got steroids, which you get caught for that. You could kill somebody being on steroids, you know. You could seriously hurt somebody being on that uncontrollable shit, and they only get like a year or a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, switch those then. If you know, I know Diaz has been popped several times on
But it's
being
not
busted for
performance
marijuana, but it's not
enhancing.
performance enhancing
That's not the way
whatsoever.
they look at it. They look at how many times have you violated the banned substance rule.
Why is
you
that
know?
even a banned substance?
Well, shit. You preach to the choir, homie.
I'm just saying.
It's just it's
gives
just
a
I
shit?
just think it's ridiculous, you know, the jump in difference there. Yeah, he's gotten caught several times, but what the hell ever? If states can now dub it as something to be medically used, and PEDs, you know, any kind of steroids of any kind, you know, are dangerous in sports as it is, what the hell? You know, it just I don't know. But if they're gonna treat it all on the same level, then I think 2-year suspension for PEDs, and it sounds like quite a bit, because as a fighter, 2 years without pay, that fucking sucks. So.
Well, beyond that, it stymies your career. You know, a fighter's career as a professional.
So it's
If
like
you have an
people
8-year
forget
career,
about you.
you had a
in less than
long
a year.
fucking career, a long career. So if you take 2 years out of my professional career, and I had a long career, maybe I had 5 or 6 years. You know what I'm saying? That really Chinese boycotts somebody's career when you do it like this. So I'm not sure that I like the 2-year suspension thing for anything. But you know, I mean, it is what it is. He fucked up twice. He got caught a third time. He's doing 2 years now. Whatever.
Yeah, and if
But-
you know,
But how about this? How about somebody that ain't broke a PED rule, ain't broke a narcotic rule, ain't done nothing but take a piss pill and got 9 months and ruined their whole fucking year? You know what I mean? That's a different fucking deal. Suck my dick, you know,
they're-
USADA, WADA, whatever the fuck you're called. Get the fuck out of
But
my
they're
life.
changing first-time offenders to 2 years. So I got lucky and got 9 months, but they're changing it like
First time offender.
but what
10
you
years.
were
Yeah.
popped for was a water
They're
pill.
changing.
Oh,
Yeah.
water,
and those
no,
are
the
good.
counter water
Yeah,
pill.
but even people like if you get caught taking a diuretic in the future and it's your first time offense, you get 2 years. They're
Yeah,
changing
and
it.
I think right now, because of the chaos that's been going on with all of this,
Ruin a lot of
they're
careers.
they're trying to finally get a grounded establishment on what they're doing. It's fucking with everybody, you know, in the
Fucking
process.
with everybody.
But
Yeah.
you know, like I was even listening to Chael Sonnen do an interview on TV after the most recent fights, and he was even saying, you know, if you don't know what it is, he's the only thing you should be putting in your body is food and water, and fuck it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I don't know
much.
what's on that list. I sure
Yeah.
as hell don't know. Like even like, I have a copy of that list, but I'm reading it and I'm like, I don't know what this shit is.
Yeah.
To hell with it. I don't need supplements and all these other stuff to boost myself. I'm just gonna be natural about it, eat clean, be strong, and know how to maintain myself when I'm feeling injured or when my body isn't feeling right. I'm just gonna learn how to do those things naturally. But when you look at like Ashley Evans Smith, she got popped for a diuretic that was like daisy flowers or some shit like that. And I mean, I look at those types of things. You got to be careful even with plant-based stuff, because when you look at, you know, poppy seeds, for example, we eat them on bagels and whatnot, but they come up as opiates. So I think you really need to be even careful with plant-based stuff because you never know when something's gonna pop up looking even like that. So it's just, do your research.
It's too stringent and lopsided. Nobody's policing them, so it just ends up being this big crazy mess.
Yeah, I think definitely a hit needs to be done to their last fight, paycheck, things like that. When Ashley Evans Smith got popped for that diuretic, it was a long time later, but they took away her win over Fallon Fox, which was really weird because that was a long time before that even happened. It was ridiculous. And then Cyborg's fight when she got busted was put. Didn't they turn it into a no contest?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I swear to God they did. I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I swear they did that. And Mark Hunt's looking for justice with this whole thing with Brock Lesnar coming up dirty twice. And I remember even seeing an article. I didn't actually open it up and read it, but it looked like Lesnar was trying to pass it off as just an asthma inhaler, which I know things like albuterol and whatnot come up as a steroid. So
but that's not anti-E. That's not going to be the same thing.
But that's what I'm saying, and if it was an inhaler, you even ask the question, where do they draw the line on that type of stuff? If somebody has a fucking inhaler because they have asthma, I don't know, maybe they shouldn't be fighting, but still, where do they fit that type of stuff in there? Mm-hmm. And so that's where his excuse was at. Second time he's been busted, it's still there. Mark Hunt's looking for justice. He's like, I want some of his purse. And then I even see fighters like...
He ain't looking for justice, he looking for money. Justice got half when he fucking Brock Lesnar humped him on his ass.
Because even Uriah Faber was like, I'm wondering, because it sounds like they're starting to talk about adding an attempted murder charge to people who are using PEDs.
Oh, you try to kill somebody.
Right?
Steroids.
I don't know, but that seems to be the talk. They're just like, so is this going to be added on as attempted murder? It's just,
This is what I'm talking about.
That's got to be a Hillary.
There's no checks and balances.
That's a Hillary Clinton policy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's just so chaotic right now with these types of things. They never used to monitor before. Now they're trying to crack down on it to make it more of an even playing field. And Diaz said it right. He's like, every motherfucker's on steroids. They're just finally starting to crack down on it, so now they're getting clean.
Yeah, damn straight.
So,
hey, check this out. To our producer, Stephen Henry, happy birthday, sir. We're gonna on camera do a shot. A shot to close this show out.
we still have lots of questions.
So we got lots of questions. We got.
Oh yeah, we got.
While we're fixing drinks, we got.
Okay, so we have one from Darren Wadsworth to us both. If you could fight any opponent in their prime, regardless of weight, era, or company, who would it be? Andrea, you asked this. You had answers. If you could fight anybody, regardless of who they are, who would it be?
Me.
I thought we
Every day.
daily, so I'll pass on that one. Fight anybody? Shit. I don't know. I guess. I would like to have a fight with. I don't want to say it, but like Joanna probably one day. That would be awesome.
Get to that point, right?
You just called her ass out.
Yeah.
Call her out.
Again,
Joanna
this is not the first
Yachek.
time I've heard this.
I can say your name right now.
All I'm
Yachek.
saying is that I would like that fight.
She would like to fight you.
She wants to fight a flyweight. I am a flyweight.
Let's do
And
it.
she used to fight a flyweight anyway.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And you can strike a little bit too, huh? Throw a mean left hook, all right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to fight. I'm going to go outside my gender and say I want to fight Genki Sudo.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Fallon Fox.
There's the cue. The cue is
We
arrived.
just went there tonight.
I'm not.
I'm not. We're on the Fallon Fox episode.
I want to fight
So
Genki
far.
Sudo. I like him. I respect that guy. He battled for peace. I like that guy. I think Genki Sudo would be fun to fight just because. I don't give a shit.
Well, I missed that part. So you can fight anybody outside your gender. I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, he said outside your
gender.
genre, your era,
Your genre.
anything.
Oh, well, shit. Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Just like,
That
yeah, I'm
guy.
not changing. Yeah, wait, yeah, he said regardless of weight class, era, all that. Fuck it, I'll say gender. I'll do the gender
Dude.
thing too. I want to fight Genki Sudo. That would be cool. Or
Okay,
have
here we go. Stephen Henry, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you, sir.
A brown belt in jiu-jitsu, a black belt in life.
What are you doing back there? Come here. Come here. Come out from behind the camera.
Look at
Here we go. Right here.
Oi.
Our
Man's
guy.
Wait, I
birthday.
gotta get this.
Our guy.
Hey.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Birthday. Cheers.
So hammered on this.
He's our designated driver. He's just drinking water.
Pretend to drink.
We're not going anywhere.
Just
Right. Okay.
Don't ride the bus.
give it to the dog.
KGB. What are your plans for after you fight?
Ooh.
When you retire, what are your plans? What are your hopes and dreams?
Take care of her man for the rest of her life.
Yeah, it's probably she already does that. Shut up.
If you're still around.
Niggas are
Okay, so-
confused. Confused.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that I would like to do.
Yeah,
I mean, I still
like
want to be
what?
involved in the sport.
Yeah,
I still want
in
to.
what way?
Maybe. Why are you interrupting me? Is this a Donnie Aaron show?
Ooh.
Apparently.
You want me to turn into that
Apparently,
shit?
it's turning into that.
I just pee on you. I would stand on the bar and piss
You
on
do
your
that
hat.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I own this.
Anyway, what would you like to do with your life? Tell us.
I mean, I would like to retire, hopefully with a lot of money.
You gonna move to Oregon, aren't you?
And I would like to live closer to the beach, wherever that may be.
Y'all ain't got beaches here.
Orange Beach, Alabama. That's where we're
I
going.
would have to. I would have to move.
The beach people ain't got no swamp.
Maybe have a gym.
Maybe have a gym
There
like what?
you go.
KGB's
KGB.
Kick Ass Fitness.
KGB.
Kick ass fitness.
KGB something.
No, I love that actually because I've always said that I want to have my team. I want to have a team of all females. And I want to call them the Lady Killers.
The Lady
Cool.
Killer.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
so that would be cool. You can start your own team, call it KGB, and really confuse the fuck out of
KGB
people.
killers. KGB killers.
You can have me as your poster child as the Lady Killer, huh?
Yeah.
You haven't earned
You get a
that
sex
title
change.
yet. I promise you.
You're not killing the game. just so you know.
Shit. I'd be laying them down, dog. Everywhere I walk, the bitch be laying down.
So that they're invisible.
So Dirty South TV has a couple of questions as regarding the gym.
we can't leave out Dirty South.
Dirty South TV wants to know, what is the win-loss ratio so far for 2016 out of your gym?
Out of Karate Mafia.
Out of Karate Mafia, exactly.
Win-loss
Out of the
ratio.
losses, what is the most common type of loss? And out of the wins, what is the most common type of win?
We are consistently for the last 10 years in the 80 percentile win bracket. Wherever we compete, we're in the 80 percentile win bracket. I don't really know where we stand ratio-wise unless we were to drop under 80%, and then I would get upset, and I would know.
Something's wrong there.
Yeah, something's wrong if we're losing and we're not winning 80%. But I think the losses that we endure are not by any particular method. We just we lose. If we fight 10 times, we might lose 2. One of them might be by decision, one of them might be by submission, one of them might be by knockout, or But if we fight 10 times, we're gonna win 8 of them. That's a pretty good fucking record for a gym, So I'm proud of my guys. I'm proud of the fact that I can say I have an 80% win record, not just this year, but since I've been coaching.
Yeah, you guys do well. You do really well. And even in loss, you guys remind me a lot of, my gym back home in Animals MMA, like 80-90% win ratio. And when you lose, you don't lose horribly bad. You still fight your asses off. And even when,
Right.
a loss does occur, something happens. And, it's just the way MMA is. The tables can get turned very quickly.
Sure,
and
sure.
it doesn't, and the opponent can show, come out in the second round and capitalize on something that their coaches have noticed. That's why you have your cornerman. But yeah, when you lose, it's not a bad loss. And when you still have fought a very good fight. So I think that I've noticed that in your guys' gym by far, and that's a good thing. All right, another question. This is kind of a fun one, me, you, and Andrea. What movies do you love that everyone else hates? You have
Well, I have 2 off the top of my head, I guess. One, I say The Labyrinth because I know Donnie. I wanted to watch that, and Donnie's like, The Labyrinth.
Donnie hates everything.
I love The Labyrinth. I think that's a pretty cool movie. And
I hate that movie.
I like The Lost Boys is actually one of my favorite. Like it's a vampire thing. I love that movie. Yeah.
See, I'm the complete opposite. I'm the type that I hate movies that everybody loves. I won't go watch any of the fucking Harry Potters. I don't give a shit. I will not. You know what?
Fuck Harry Potter.
I will not watch any of the Twilights. I'm so fucking annoyed by that. I grew up with old school vampires.
Like
Okay,
Lost
they
Boys.
didn't sparkle.
The
Okay,
Lost Boys don't sparkle.
yeah. Exactly. So for me, I'm the complete opposite. I wouldn't
My
even-
nuts sparkle. Does that make me a vampire?
If you want to be.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Yes. sounds like a hygiene issue.
All right. Okay. Right on. All right.
This will be fun.
All right. Last question. One more question. Pick
All right.
the best one.
Let me see here because we got a few.
Pick the best one.
Let me see.
I did, but I'm not worried about
We already talked about the Holmes-Shevchenko fight.
Yep.
Your thoughts? All right, so we got a couple more here that aren't bad. But I'll ask these two because I think Donnie will have fun with these. Do fans? We kind of started saying something about this. Do fans show up at your gym often to meet you? And is it something most fighters are okay with? Do fighters get free tickets to events when they are not on the card? So have you ever had a fan show up looking for her?
it. Yeah,
Not. Have I?
I've had some. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. She has.
They're looking for her, not you. So
But if they're looking for me, they want to
Yeah.
fight.
Because he's
So
trying to answer the question.
that's what I'm
You would
thinking
have to
about.
be at
If
the
they
gym
ask for
to
me,
know.
they want to fight.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
I'm looking for Donnie here, and I know I gotta lace him up.
I've had some fans
Here it
come up
comes.
there and get a picture with me and stuff and sign some stuff.
that's cool. I've had people join our gym and be like, "Yeah, I know who you are. I've seen you fight. You know, I'm a fan of yours and so forth." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you." You know, and it just local individuals. So yeah, I've had that happen before. As far as free tickets to an event, I don't know. I mean, with Invicta, Shannon hooks people up. If you're going to be at the
Yeah.
show, I don't know. It really
It
depends.
depends on who
I know
you are.
and I
where
really
you're
know
going.
she treats her title holders really well, which I think is the right thing to do. You know, like Tanya Evinger, she's flown her out to the last few
Yeah,
Invictas when she wasn't fighting, and got her hotel room so she could come see. Because if there's somebody fighting in the weight class, I noticed that Shannon Knapp will bring the title holder out from that weight class to watch that fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
That's
so,
cool. That's cool for sure.
Yeah, I've seen that happen quite a bit.
Yep.
But I agree with that. We got one real random question here. We'll ask.
One more. Last question.
Okay, next. What are your thoughts on the 125 and 145 division for women, and can Cyborg be beaten?
She has been technically beaten, but she hasn't been beaten in MMA.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by beat.
Yeah.
Everybody can
Well-
be beaten. We're not all fucking invincible.
Discussing that, she is absolutely the most dominant force in any weight class in women's MMA. Period. But yes, anybody can be beaten. As far as the 125 class goes, I think that the UFC is missing the boat because they haven't included the 105, the 125, and the 145 division. When they do that, then they'll have a complete women's division and a complete women's category in the UFC. Until then, we're hanging on like dingleberries.
But I don't think we stink.
And on
We
that
don't
note,
smell quite as bad.
Is what it is, baby.
I'm not a dingleberry.
Yeah. Right. But to the first part of that question, that's kind of broad. Like, what are your thoughts on the 145 division for women? My thoughts on the 145 division, that's, like I said, that's a broad question. I think our division is really small. I really hope to see more girls make their way through and build our division. That's kind of how I feel about mine at this point.
It's small because the UFC has the 135. So 155ers or 145ers, drop
It
to
ain't
35.
even that.
125ers climb to 35. So you got but if you had a 145 division in the UFC, the 55ers would drop to 45, and you'd have a thick division.
I've always felt that a lot of 31, 35ers are there because they dropped because they didn't want to fight Cyborg. Years ago, when
True.
it
It's
seemed
true.
like a lot of 145ers
Well, yeah.
we're
Duck
dropping
and
to
Cyborg,
135.
They wanted to
but
fight
for
Ronda.
years, okay, so you duck Cyborg to get Rousey, you know? I mean, what do you do? You
Yeah,
know?
you can't run from there being a champion and somebody who's going to dominate intensely.
So decide what you're the best at and go, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we're... Love you guys, man. See you next week.
Invicta FC.
We got
July
fighters fighting
29th,
in New Orleans.
UFC fight
Andrea
pass.
KGB Lee is fighting in a BJJ super fight in New Orleans in 2 weeks. So we'll be bringing you all the behind the scenes footage to that shit. And
Sponsors.
you want to read? Go ahead. Read your sponsors. We would like to thank our sponsors, who are.
Yes, we had a few sponsors, that sent us some sponsorship cash for this podcast. For this video cast. Sorry, I keep saying that.
Cold Steel Knife. Let me cut something but a Cold Steel Knife. Besides my finger, 'cause I did cut that shit.
Is that what that's
He
from?
did cut his finger
I
earlier.
cut something with a
Good
Cold Steel
Lord.
Knife that ain't my finger. Or my dick.
Yeah, I don't know
But
why.
yeah, so back to our sponsors. Cold Steel is one. Love MMA, thank you. MMA Roadhog, Fighter Alias. Y'all need to check out their fighter gear. And Martial Arts Life, as always, your arm's in my way. It's blocking my face.
Back up, man.
Yeah,
Thank
right on.
you, Martial
We
Arts
love you
Life.
guys. Martial Arts Life.
Fighter Alias.
All them guys, Fighter Alias.
MMA Roadhog.
Love, all them fellas.
We love
Someone's
some
on the
love.
game over here.
Yeah. Huh.
Keeping it
All right,
together.
so check it out. I'm drunk. She's drunk. We're all drunk.
I'm
we'll see
sober.
you
We're
next week.
sober.
So I had
Designated driver.
Water.
You gotta drive us to our house.
Somebody's got to
To the
fly.
bedroom.
Fucking right.